I'll be telling you my top 5 blasters of 2021 in no particular order, and their names are hidden inside of these 5 darts. Inside this missile is an honorable mention, and inside these 3 darts are blasters I was excited for this year but ended up being more disappointing than I thought. I didn't try out every single blaster on the market, and the ones that I do own, many of them were sent to me via free samples. So take that opinion for what it is, but I still wanted to put my opinion out there just like one does on the internet. Alright, so our first favorite blaster is the Dart Zone Max Striker. This blaster made it on the list because it's another relatively inexpensive pro performance blaster on the market. This is an exclusive to Target and it retails for 50 USD and is compatible with half-length darts and full-length darts. Right out of the box, you get that wicked performance. The half-length darts get an average velocity of around 154 FPS, while full-length darts get that 151 FPS average velocity. Up front you have a nice muzzle brake, which is also removable. Oh, and I gotta talk about this stock. It's my favorite one that Dart Zone has made so far. So when you aim down sights, you have this piece to rest your cheek against, and my god, it makes a difference. It's really nice. The one warning I have is that this grip may not be for everyone. A lot of times when I prime back, I actually find my palm hitting the back of the mag well, and it's not comfortable, and same with my fingers near the front as well. It really comes down to preference. I saw that one of my viewers said they like this grip way more than the Nexus Pro, and that's the complete opposite compared to me. But if you can get over that grip shape, well, what else is not to love about this blaster? My next favorite blaster is the Nerf Hyper Rush 40. The Nerf Hyper Rush 40 retails for around 30 USD. So within this chrono-sized shape, you get this hopper which can hold 40 hyper rounds. It has a top prime, so pretty easy to operate. It has an average velocity of around 122 FPS, which makes it one of the hardest hitting modern Nerf branded blasters out there. Accuracy though it's whatever. The hopper's on top here, it's clear so you can see how much ammo you have, and I love the location of the door right here. You can quick drop ammo inside, and the location of it just makes it really easy to not spill the ammo compared to something else like the Adventure Force Monolith with that giant door, or even the rival Percy's where the entire thing opens up. To be frank, using this top prime grip here, it's pretty garbage. There's a lot of hard plastic which digs into your skin after a while, so honestly, pro tip, just hold it right here and oh, it's so smooth, it's so nice. Gets rid of all your problems. Not really, but it's nice. The one downside of this hopper is that rounds are gravity fed, which means you kind of have to have the blaster pointed down while you're priming it in order for it to feed properly, because if you're aiming like this upwards, you're most likely going to dry fire. To avoid dry firing, I have a habit of pointing this blaster downwards, priming, then aiming upwards. It's like a constant swaddling of this baby. I'm still torn whether I like hyper rounds or not, but nonetheless, it's awesome how easy this thing is to use. You got easy reloading, incredible capacity here, and it's probably my favorite blaster of this year. Alright, let's cover one of the disappointing blasters of this year, and that is... hello? We actually got 2 blasters here, and those are the Adventure Force Triggerfire and Tetrashot blasters. 2021 was a rough year for BuzzV. I'll give it credit, the Triggerfire is probably the best in its class, but overall it's just okay. And the Tetrashot is just a really clumsy blaster to use with not really good performance. I did a whole video on those blasters, so you can check it up there. My next favorite blaster is the Nerf Mega XL Boomdozer. I don't know how this thing made it on my list, but it did. The Mega XL Boomdozer is the biggest and baddest of the 3 newly introduced blasters. And it doesn't come cheap, it retails for about 42 USD. It has a 6-dart rotating cylinder. Yeah, that pretty much sums it up. There's a stock attachment here, it fires these giant sausage darts. This prime man is so smooth. Listen to this. I think the last time a prime was this satisfying for me was probably the Nerf Mega Twin Shock. The ease of use of this blaster is just, it's awesome. Average velocity is around 55 FPS, which is pretty decent considering how heavy these darts are, but sounds extremely sluggish compared to something like a rival blaster. Like I mentioned in my review video, this might be the closest thing to a practical grenade launcher, and because of that aspect of it, it's darn fun. Now we got our honorable mention. That is the Dart Zone Pro Mark III. It didn't make it on my favorites list, but the Dart Zone Pro Mark III still needs to be recognized as the first motorized pro performance blaster made by a mainstream major brand out there. Not to mention, this blaster has select fire, which allows you to switch between semi-auto and full auto. This is an online exclusive and retails for 130 USD. It runs on 8 AA batteries, but Dart Zone, the mad lads, they've made this blaster compatible with LiPo batteries, so you can shove one in there instead. With the included half-length darts, you get an average velocity of 154 FPS, and with standard length darts, you get 148 FPS. This thing can hit hard. And as a note, that's on the 8 AA batteries. This didn't make it on my favorites because it has some issues when it comes to magazine compatibility and some dart feeding. And to be honest, full auto is kinda slow. The other thing is the Mark III really shreds through darts and leaves them damaged quite quickly. But motorized pro performance, pretty good for those who are interested in that. Our second to last favorite blaster of 2021 is the Adventure Force Dino Blitz. I'm sure many people haven't even heard of this blaster, so it's a shock even to me that it made it on this list. For whatever reason, this is a Canada exclusive re-release of the Dart Zone Blitzfire. It retails for $10 Canadian, which is around $8 USD, and hands down, I think it's one of the best dart pistols ever made. For the kids, it comes with this really chunky dinosaur-themed scope, but it's removable. Depending on the dart quality, you can get an average FPS range of around 78 FPS to 86, which is pretty solid here. I won't go into much detail because I'm hoping to make a whole separate review video just gushing about how amazing this blaster is. For $8, you just can't lose. Our second to last disappointing blaster of this year, we have the Adventure Force Matrix Fire. The Adventure Force Matrix Fire is a $30 full auto blaster, which makes use of this detachable ammo box which holds 30 darts. Like Dart Zone's other dart hoppers, you just open this up and you line up darts in here and close this thing up. And this blaster runs on 6 AA batteries. You might get excited by the idea of a dart hopper or an ammo box, but the promise of easily dumping in darts to reload is more complicated than that. Especially with the Matrix Fire, it takes a lot of finessing to make sure all the darts are lined up properly. Otherwise, it's going to jam. The mechanism works pretty well. It's not always consistent, but overall it has a good rate of fire. From my testing, I got an average velocity of 80 FPS, which sounds good, but it's deceiving because I was just tapping the trigger to fire a dart. When you fire just 1 or 2 darts at a time, it's quite powerful, between like 80 and 90 FPS. But for my short range test, you lose a lot of range once you fire too many darts in a row to the point where it looks really weak. So the reloading aspect as well as the range performance was more disappointing than I thought. And the final disappointing blaster on this list is the Adventure Force Monolith. Retailing for 35 USD, a lot of us were super hyped because we thought this could be a budget nemesis, but unfortunately, that's not the case. It holds 40 ball rounds inside this hopper, it's got this really nice opening door, and it has full auto firing with the use of 6 D batteries. The Monolith's average FPS is 107. That sounds good on paper, but it has inconsistent feeding and rate of fire. Just like the Matrix Fire, I think the longer you hold down the trigger, the more the rounds start to slow down. Just in short range, I could tell that the balls were already starting to curve in the air. I think Dart Zone had the right idea, but wrong execution here. I would say save your money and just get a Perseus or Nemesis instead. Or if you got the dough, go for the Prometheus. And finally, for our last favorite blaster of 2021, it's the Dart Zone Tomahawk 60. Just when you think blaster companies can't keep reinventing the drum blaster, well, Dart Zone comes out with the Tomahawk 60. You thought 40 rounds in the Villainator was good? Nah fam, 60 rounds in this bad boy. You get semi-auto firing, and you get all of this for only $30. Since it's motorized, it does run on 6 AA batteries. And the reason this blaster can hold so much is because of its interesting drum design. You can slot in 1 dart, and just on top of that, you can put in another dart, and that creates 2 layers of 30 rounds. But let it be known, I'm not a big fan of the way that you load in the second dart on top, just because you have to consistently bend the darts, and I just think over time that's going to damage them. As you can probably tell, I'm not a big fan when it comes to damaging ammo. But at least for the first 30 rounds, reloading is super easy, and that's already a pretty high capacity, so you won't really be utilizing the second layer as much as you may think. But then again, I haven't play tested this thing because of current world event. I like how this drum is removable, it swivels really easily, and you don't have to worry about darts falling out of this thing. Why is there a Nerf stock adapter on a Dart Zone blaster? Who cares? It's amazing, it's a game changer. Really makes using this blaster a lot easier. Average FPS with the included diamond or chili darts, whatever we're calling it now, is 86 FPS. But for me, I found that the velocity is really inconsistent. You'll get some really powerful shots and some really lackluster ones. Like its velocity, accuracy is also inconsistent. And this blaster does produce foam confetti. It damages darts that way too. Others will disagree, but to me, overall the satisfaction of firing isn't the best. The drum is really loud and clunky, the trigger fire is not the smoothest. If I was to put satisfaction of firing at a 10 for the boom dozer, the Tomahawk 60 is probably a 6 or 7 to me. I may not love the Tomahawk 60, but I just think it's great because it's one that will outlast so many others in a Nerf war just to the sheer amount of capacity it can hold and a decent rate of fire with its semi-auto. Again, for $30, there's a lot of value here. Check out every 2021 Nerf blaster explained by clicking up here. Comment below your favorite blasters of 2021. Subscribe for more bread. Thanks for watching.